Hi, this is Alessio, Rastani, leading trader. Hope you're well. In this video, we're going to talk about a very important question which some folks have been asking. And the question is, hey Alessio, what happened to the October to December rally? Isn't the October to December period supposed to be a strong period for Bitcoin? And in case you're scratching your head and asking yourself, what does that even mean? So let me show you this chart. This is probably the most hated chart right now for Bitcoin, and it's called Bitcoin seasonality. And in case you're wondering, this is simply a chart that shows how Bitcoin usually behaves or has behaved in the past between certain periods of the year. And the chart showed us that between the period of October to December, we usually see unusual strength in Bitcoin. Of course, I don't have to tell you, this pattern did not repeat itself this year. In fact, it did quite the opposite. So you probably think to yourself, well, what happened here? What's going on? So let me try and answer this point. There is something very important that I mentioned in my previous videos. Let me just play these two clips very quickly.
What also needs to be true is that Bitcoin needs to stay above support. It needs to stay above the January-June lows. Bitcoin must not fall into a bear market.
However, this is the main thing to watch. If it drops back down, if Bitcoin drops back down to the lows of last week, to the lows of Thursday, for example, if it drops back down to 6,200, then that would indeed be a warning signal for Bitcoin. Because if we drop down back to these lows again, very likely we're going to break it. Very likely we'll break these levels and fall back down to lower levels. In fact, very likely any move below the lows of last week, below the lows of 6,200, is likely to result in a move to 6,000 and potentially lower. So Bitcoin really needs to hold on to these gains right now. If it fails to hold on to these gains that it made yesterday and drops back down, then we're going to see potentially further weakness to come. All right, guys, so what I was saying in those videos is very simply this, that what really matters above everything else, that it doesn't really matter what seasonality tells us. What matters is price action. And that means this, as you saw in that video, we said if the price of Bitcoin was to drop back down to 6,200, actually we revised that level to 6,300 quite recently. But the bottom line is we said that if price were to drop back down to these levels, 6,200 or 6,300, then the odds will evaporate massively. In other words, the odds will turn against us. So that means if the price of Bitcoin was to drop back down to 6,200 or 6,300, it doesn't matter what anything else says, the odds have turned against us and we have no reason to be in the market, and therefore we must protect ourselves against risk because, as I mentioned, we're going to see strong downside pressure below 6,000. And by the way, guys, I got a very interesting comment from one of our subscribers, Annick C, who wrote me this, and I just wanted to read some of it to you. First of all, he says, thank you for the fantastic analysis. And he says over here, I'm not sure what I might have done without your analysis during this crazy BTC drop. Probably held until 5,800 and rebought somewhere much lower and taken a loss, hoping for an immediate bounce back. Or I might have called up a friend who would have told me for the 100th times that investing in crypto is financial suicide. What I did do with your analysis is much more important. And he says, I got out around 6,000, past your 6,200 support, but approaching that dangerous 5,800 level you mentioned. And you know what I did next? I went out and had a nice dim sum dinner with friends here in Hangzhou without the stress and pressure of thinking, did I make the right move? And he says over here, you've not only saved me a considerable amount of dollars, but more importantly, you've given me some peace of mind and confidence into attempting to understand the probabilities. So well done to you, Annick. And I also want to thank all of you for sending me your comments and your feedback. And guys, I want to wish all of you a great Thanksgiving and a great holiday, and I'll see you in the next video update. Bye for now.